Everybody, hello. Hello, hello, hello. So happy to be here with you all. I agree. Isn't it fun?
Oh, it's so much fun. Hey, y'all. How's everyone doing? Good. Did you enjoy the movie?
Yeah. Wasn't she spectacular? So spectacular. Well, this is quite the journey, starting out at Juilliard and all of that rigor and training. I know two friends from Juilliard.
I already told her, y'all.
Hello, two friends from Juilliard here tonight. Juilliard, all of that rigor, all of that training, all of those hopes and dreams of what might happen, and now it's manifested all the way to here, to this moment. How did what you learned there, what you ingested there, impact the way you moved your life going forward and chose your roles?
Well, just you saying that, y'all know I'm an emotional one. I'm gonna try not to cry, but it's gonna happen. Just thinking about my time at Juilliard, and when you're in your second year, you take this class. It's a physical class where you're running around the room and you're dropping to your floor and running around, and it's so tiring, and you're doing flips and all this stuff, right? And one of the things you do in this class, it was taught by our teacher, Moni Akeem. He was one of the first founding faculty members at Juilliard. And he had this thing where you would reach up after being exhausted, right? You'd be on your tippy toes and you reach really high. He'd say, reach for the stars, reach, reach. And you'd have to reach, right? And you're sweating down, just sweating. And he says, reach for your goals, reach for your goals. And y'all, especially when you're tired, it's like running a marathon. You know what it's like, pushing to those like last final miles. That's all I remember, was reaching for my goals, to be an actor, working professionally, to be able to tell impactful stories that moved people in my community, that moved people outside of my community. I just was reaching for that goal, to not give up, to keep going. And here we are. Now So it was moments like that at Juilliard that kept me going, kept me reaching, kept me believing that when it gets hard, like that class was, like the story that we see with Sophia, you can keep reaching, you can keep going.
Yeah, I know, having been through this process with you the past couple of months, one of the stories that has moved me the most, because one of the things I learned in all of my years of interviewing thousands of people is that nothing is lost, that there is not an experience that any of us ever has that isn't a part of the fabric that makes up the quilt of our own existence. And that moment that you came to New York with your father and saw on Broadway, your first Broadway play at 15. Tell everybody about that time.
So I don't know if y'all know, do y'all know this story? Okay, good, because sometimes I feel like I've said it so many times that maybe it's caught on.
They don't know the story.
I'm gonna tell y'all the story and it's gonna blow your mind, okay? So I grew up in Simpsonville, South Carolina, right? And where I grew up, you know, people kind of did the same thing. You know, they were comfortable with their lives. They did their 9 to 5. They went to work, took care of their children, and went to church on Sundays and did it all over again the next week. And I just knew for me that there was more to this for my life that I wanted to do. And so I was in high school. I had won this internship to go to New York and learn how to make short films for like 2 weeks. And I was able to take a parent. So I took my dad with me. We go to New York. We had some downtime. And he knew that his little baby girl loved the theater. So when you're at the Great White Way, there's not too many shows of people of color. And so one of the only shows that was showing that had black people in them was The Color Purple. So at 15 years old,
This is 2005.
This is 2005. The first Broadway show that I witnessed was The Color Purple. So, cut to go to Juilliard, cut to struggle bus, a lot of auditions, a lot of like nights of crying because I didn't know how I was gonna pay my rent, and like, you know, the ceiling in my apartment was flooding because somebody was overrunning their bath water and bubbles was coming out the toilet. It was a hot mess, y'all, where I was living. But just a struggling actor. I was doing the things. And so I go through that process, graduate. Like a year after graduating, I end up booking Orange is the New Black. Yes, thank you. And so I did that, and still my passion, the thing that I wanted to do, was the theater. So I kept auditioning for Broadway shows and just auditioning for off-Broadway, and it was not clicking. I mean, I would go in there heavily prepared and just still bombing these auditions because my nerves was taking over my body, right? And I don't know if y'all are actors and understand how that can happen, right? Y'all know. And so I was like, just wasn't clicking, and I didn't understand why. I was just gonna take my time with this one, okay? So I had auditioned for this play called Pippin. And when I auditioned for this play, I had like 6, 7 callbacks, and I thought, this is promising. So I had one last, final audition. I get in there, and your girl bombed. It was bad. There was nothing I could do to save that thing. And to the point, I left the audition myself. And I said, this is not what I want you all to see. This is not a representation of myself.
What happened?
As an artist. I was so jittery. Because the thing about Juilliard is they teach you, how to be a great actor. They give you the tools for that. They don't teach you how to audition. Am I right? Okay. So I came out 21 years old, and I didn't know how to audition. Now I'm sitting in a room with all these white men in suits that are judging my work, and I don't know how to navigate that. And so, but I tell that story because as soon as that experience happened for me, I knew that I had a choice to make, to either give up or continue to grow. So I scraped up some money, went into singing lessons, went into dance lessons to get comfortable auditioning. And my next audition was The Color Purple Revival. And y'all, I booked it. That was 10 years later. 10 years later, that was my first Broadway show I ever starred in. So sometimes I say that story because sometimes we have plans, but God has strategy. And we have to really ride that wave and let, things go the way that they're supposed to go and not get in the way. Yeah. And almost 10 years later, I'm in this.
What I love about that story is that it was The Color Purple that you saw as your first Broadway play. Mm-hmm. It was The Color Purple a decade later, after trying, that you show up fully enough for yourself to land Sophia. Mm-hmm. And when I first saw you in the musical version on Broadway, I thought, wow, you nailed it. And for me to say that, let me just say.
I know, we haven't played her.
Yeah, because I came in with my own thoughts, okay? And I want to know how, first of all, what was the lesson of playing Sophia every night? What did that offer you, teach you?
There was a few lessons.
Mm-hmm.
One, when I played her every night, 8 shows a week,
yes, for
a year. And I was shooting Orange is the New Black at the same time. I did not get much sleep. I was excited to be on the stage, but then the blessings started to pour in, and I was Tony nominated, and now we were nominated for a Grammy, and people were really seeing me. I was not just, an ensemble member. I am Sophia. I am playing Sophia, and people are putting some respect on my name. And that was really nerve-wracking for me. And so I started to experience imposter syndrome. I was really starting to feel like, how have I gotten to this place? This young girl from South Carolina, and why am I deserving of this moment? And it was heavy. And so, with playing Sophia and singing Hell No every night, singing a song that is about fighting, I had to fight for myself and say, I'm going to say hell no to my fears. I'm going to say hell no to the fact that I have this belief that I'm not enough. That is not true. And living in somebody that powerful really shook me up and changed me. And so she taught me how to own my power.
Wow. How to hell no.
Hell no it. Hell no.
Hell no in real life.
Yes,
in
yes,
real life.
yes.
So, do you have a favorite scene in the movie?
Oh, yes. I got a lot of favorite scenes in the movie. But I think the thing that I'm most proud of is a lot of things. One, working with Corey Hawkins, who's my best friend. We went to Juilliard together. We're in the same class, and they only accept 18 a year. Getting to have that experience with him meant everything to me. But as far as the work, having that moment at the dinner scene, that was like, yes, thank you, God, for that. Because you really get to stretch as an actor and really show what you can do. And Corey said something last night at the panel that we were on, and I want to say this too. I think a lot of times when you're from a particular place that is similar to the character that you're playing, people think that it just comes easy. And it does not come easy. It's still a skill. It is still figuring out a character and breaking it down and really understanding the ins and outs of who that woman is. And a lot of times it can be even harder because you have to go into some of your own trauma, your family trauma of being a woman in the South and what all of that came with and comes with. So I just wanted to put that into the space. But playing that part and having that moment, especially because I did my research and I found out that you mentioned when Celie says, you ain't nothing but a sack of dead horse shit. And that speech, you improvised, correct? And so and that was so powerful. To me, that scene, it was a masterclass for me. And so at the time, I remember we were doing the table read on that scene, and Bliss was thinking about like cutting it down to trim time. And I remember fighting for it because I was like, no. This is so crucial to the story. One, because historically, what you brought to it, I think needs to remain. And secondly, it's important because it's showing her rebirth, her renewal, and getting to have that moment of laughter into the cry. It was just something, I just felt like it was a gift as an artist that I really got to show what I can do.
That's where that Oscar nomination came from, girl. Every time I've seen it, and even watching it multiple times during dailies, I am so moved by your process because I'm thinking, are you thinking about, I've got to now move into the cry? Are you thinking about the timing of that? Are you thinking about what line you're going to do that? I mean,
it's all of that. It's all of that. So it's really listening to I call it spirit work, to be honest. Like there's some stuff that you do and that's why my hand is shaking, because it's this spirit work where you have to listen to the women that came before you and all of the things that they experienced. And so that's what I was thinking about. First, I was like, okay, she has to come back into herself. She has to have this rebirth and renewal, right? So we're going to get that through the laughter, because it is funny what she's saying. But I also know, after my experiences with Orange is the New Black, that laughter really is a way into people's hearts, right? That's a direct way to connect with somebody and break through. So we're going to hit them with the laughter, and then it's really thinking about all of the hurt and pain that woman had to endure. I thought about when Miss Celie came to visit her in the jail cell and leaving her children. And then I thought about, the women in my family and some of the experiences that they've been through. And I cannot leave out the experiences that I've went through. So it was a moment to just cry out, to release everything that we as a people have to go through. And it's not really just a black person or a woman, but us as people. Life is going to hit you with trials and tribulations, and a lot of times we don't allow ourselves the space to cry, to let it go,
and the space to feel. Because
space
in
to
that
feel.
moment when she says, I mean, because years ago, I mean, the original script, the character Sophia was asked one question at the table, and she's, I think Harpo says, "How you feeling, Miss Sophia?" And the original line was, she says, "I'm feeling fine." And then Steven Spielberg had said to me, "Tell us how you felt when you saw Miss Seeley in the store." And that's when I started rocking, and when I seen you in that store, Miss Seeley. So all of that was ad lib, but it also came from the space that you're talking about, spirit, remembering what it is to be supported and somebody looking out for you when you feel so alone.
Yeah, that's right.
You were able to do that. This is what you all don't know. This makes me almost want to cry. That scene was done on not 3 different times, but on 3 different days. Because the first day that we shot the long wide shot with everybody at the table, after that day, one of the actors got COVID, and it had to be shut down. We had to shut down. So you were supposed to shoot all day that day. We're not able to shoot all day because we discovered that one of the actors had COVID, and now we got to disrupt the whole set, and everybody had to be tested. So Danielle had to do that scene not once on one day, then another day with just fill-in actors.
Yeah, it was tough. It was just me and Corey and fill-in actors,
Yes.
stand-ins, and they're trying to do the best they can. And and delivering what you saw. I delivered that the first time, that I had, been given that, chance in that day.
Yes, and then shot another time
Yep.
where we were actually able to bring back all the other actors.
After releasing it and
Yes.
letting it go, thinking that Blitz had gotten what he needed,
Having to
coming
come back and doing it all over again. And I remember Danielle calling me saying, "Miss So, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I said, "You're gonna call on the ancestors. You're gonna go in there and do the
And
thing."
I was thinking to myself, they done talking to me. They don't want to talk to me no more. They over me.
How was playing Sophia different, or the characterization of her different in the film than Broadway?
Having the elements, really, and theater is all about your imagination, or at least in the production that we did, because it was just wood and wooden chairs. And so it was really just using your imagination. We would use, blankets or such things like that
To
as
make
a
the
baby.
baby.
Yeah. We didn't have a juke joint. I didn't have any other outfits and clothes, and I didn't have a white mob to actually attack me. The audience had to go on that journey with me. So when I got to go and do this and have all the elements and actually be in Georgia on a plantation, riding by trillions of trees, thinking about the brothers and sisters that might have been hung on that tree, having to actually, get the dirt, that scene where get to kick the dirt. I actually got to play in the juke joint, and so everything started to come to life in a different way. And the type of actor I am, I like to play, y'all. Y'all give me this cup, I'm gonna make something else out of this. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna play and find as much as I can in every line and every syllable. And so
yes,
the
because
world
it was your
opened up.
idea. I remember you saying to Blitz when you were coming in the door doing Hell No, and you were saying she wouldn't just open that door; she would kick that
That's
door
right.
through. And that whole kicking the door through was was
Yes.
Sophia's idea.
Yes, right. Because Sophia, and that's what we were taught at Juilliard. When you enter into a space and you leave a space, you want the audience to go with you. And so that's what I was trying to do. You want them to want to, take that next journey with you, even though the camera doesn't follow. And so that's what that was. Sophia ain't just gonna walk through a door. She's
Right.
gonna bust it open.
Yeah.
And so I'm just grateful too to have worked with a director and production, people, producers like yourself, that gave me the freedom to do what I wanted to do.
Yeah. Can I ask you this? Were you nervous about the whole "You Told Harpo to Beat Me" scene? Because that is so iconic, had become so iconic for me, as you know.
And you were there.
And I was there.
Watching me.
I wasn't watching. I came to support. I came to support that day because I felt that scene was actually we've been talking about me passing the baton, but that felt like all right, now it's officially yours.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That was a nerve-wracking day that I tried to stay as calm as a cucumber. I remember sitting in the corner just reading like Viola Davis's new, book, trying to like be inspired and stay in the zone. Like it was really tough because it is such an iconic, scene, and the words "You told Hopper to beat me." I remember even on your show there was some white man that like said the whole.
When I was in Texas on trial for saying something about a burger. Years ago, I ended up on trial for 6 weeks, y'all, in Amarillo, Texas, for saying something about a burger. And I was on trial in the day, and then I would do my shows at night. And in an audience in Texas, a young white guy stood up and said, "I love The Color Purple so much," and recited the whole thing. That's what I remember. Yes, that's what I remember.
I think that's amazing. So I was really like nervous about it. But at the same time, I just kept saying to myself, girl, you got to give it everything you have to give. Like, you have to be the vessel. This really is not about you. This is not about anybody else but serving this character so that someone else can receive whatever healing that they need when this story is told. So I said, let me focus on that and let that lead and be a good scene partner, to not make it about me, but to actually help serve whatever Fantasia needed in that moment too, because it's not only about me.
Right. It's about Sophia and Celie, Celie in that moment.
Yeah.
Can I ask you, when the moment that I surprised you on Zoom and said, "It's now yours," I said, "Enjoy the ride. It's going to be a wonderful journey, and it's like riding a wave." And all the things that have now come from it, Critics' Choice nomination, Golden Globe nomination, BAFTA nomination, Oscar nomination, all of that, all of those accolades hold what space for you now? I remember a couple of times being in a room and you just looking around and you were trying to take it all in.
Yes. I'm going to give you my honest answer.
Please do.
I'm going to give you all my honest answer. Nothing. In the sense of, those things cannot define my worth. Yes. That's what I mean. Don't get me wrong now. I would love to win all those things. That would be amazing. But at the end of the day, I have to know what gift God has given me. And I have to understand that I still can serve with or without those things. I still can be a storyteller. I still can, be an example for somebody else without those things. And so I think that's what I think about. I think about Viola Davis, who would say, after winning her Oscar, saying, you get to these pinnacle places in your life, and then what? And so now I'm thinking, okay, what is that then what? Because I can do that now. I can do that now. And so, believe me, it's a huge deal. And I want it one day. But I have to trust the process, that God is putting me wherever I'm supposed to be and moving the way that He wants to move. Because the thing is, how horrible would it be to receive this huge gift and not be ready for it, not be ready for that next step? So my biggest thing is just following the path, ride the wave, enjoy the ride, and let God do what He do, So that's what it means. And I hope that you all understand what I say. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so, have you been able to be fully present with everything? Are you able to be fully present with it?
Yeah,
like sitting
I
in
think
the room
so.
with the Golden Globes and sitting in the room.
No, look, that's the thing about the journey. It's not easy. Like it's too much is given, much is required, and so I think I've been struggling sometimes, to check my ego. And so with that in that process, I'm doing a lot of work. I'm going to therapy, and I'm hanging on to Jay Shetty podcast, and Soul Sundays, Super Soul Sundays. I'm really trying to do the internal work, so that whenever those things do come, I'm ready to receive them. And a lot of times, like, you have to go through heavy moments, and the road isn't going to be easy all the time. And I think what I've learned is, like, even last night I did a SAG panel, and some kids came up to me and they were asking me questions, and one of the young women said she wanted to give up. And I said, you can't quit. You have to keep going. And I said to her, if you don't have a test, you're never going to have a testimony. Mm-hmm. And I said, I had to go through the things that I went through in my acting career, and the losses that I've experienced, and the moments of feeling like I wasn't enough. All of that, I had to go through it for this moment so that I could pour into her. That was what I felt in that moment. And so I wanted to encourage her to be okay with sitting in the feelings of not feeling enough and all those things that we go through, whatever it is that you're going through or experience, being okay with living in those moments. Because I'm telling you, they're going to serve you, but they're also going to serve someone else's journey.
Yeah. Nothing is lost. Nothing is wasted. And I know that you had goals that you set years ago. You had a 10-year dream.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
10-year dream.
Yes.
How many of those things have you now accomplished
in
that 10-year
dream? Oh, my God.
Dream?
Y'all, I had a 10-year dream.
You had a 10-year vision.
I had a 10-year vision. You were on there.
Yeah, to be interviewed by
Miss O, which has happened several times now.
Multiple times.
Several times now. It was to work with Corey Hawkins and Jakina Calacango, which I actually worked with both of them. Corey in this production, Jakina in the other. She played Nettie in the revival. And other one I remember was to be Tony nominated, which has happened now. It's happened with The Color Purple.
Yes.
And to be Oscar nominated. So that's happened. It's crazy, the being able to manifest the things that you want for your life.
Yeah. And what do you think, because we've talked about this, of the universal life forces showing up in your life in such a way, what do you think that this moment in time that has brought The Color Purple to fruition in your life in this way? What is God trying to tell you? I love that. God's trying to tell you something. What's God trying to tell you?
Oh, man. I think it's sort of what we've been talking about, just trusting the process, and knowing that the same way Sophia was resilient in the hardest moments of her time in her life, she still got back up, and that I can too. I think that's what I've been taking from this moment, is that I am resilient. I have the power. I can do all the things that I want to do and achieve. But I have to know that I gotta know it here. I have to know it here. So I think that's the thing, and especially with Sophia, because she really didn't care what people thought about her. She moved and walked in this world the way that she wanted to. She was grounded, and she wasn't always right, but she was all of those things. And I can be and will always be those things as well.
Well, one of the things that I love about the way you embodied Sophia is that you brought such light to her. Yes, such light and such jubilation. And I think one of the reasons you were able to do that is because you carry that light yourself.
Oh, thank you.
You carry that light yourself.
Thank you. So
And I wish you
Thank
continue
you.
glory and goodness, mercy and goodness forever. Yes.
Thank you, Miss O.
Thank you all so much. Thank you for joining us. Thank you.